and it's a very pressure area. So many so-called extramarital and so many deviations are also there. And most of the time, husband think that she is doing it, pretending all this, what is happening to her, like we see in this menopausal area. It is again a very big challenge. So I was just thinking about, as we are doing antenatal clinics for pregnant ladies, why don't we go for, if they come for vaccination and other follow-up of the baby. In that time, this mental well-being program could be designed, because I am affiliated to
Absolutely.
NIMHANS. NIMHANS also, I am a de-addiction counselor, also certified through NIMHANS. So many problems. Even addiction has been triggered in cases where lady is going through PPD.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I totally agree with all the outcomes that you're mentioning, ma'am. So, and this is exactly why, as people who are providing mental support, it's very important to ask yourself, can I go beyond what I'm doing? For as a, volunteer your time, basically. The government is not going to come look for us. I think it's important that we go look for where these programs are happening and sit down and see if we, and you'll be actually surprised a lot of times. The ASHA workers and the individuals who are supporting for the polio, they're all the more happy if somebody comes and sits and talks to these mothers. So now the idea is, look around you for organizations who are trying to solve this problem at a grassroots level. Start associating with them and start providing your time, because that, I think, is very, very important, because we are all still a little bit on the monetary driven aspect of it. When we go a little beyond that and start showing up, I think that makes a huge difference. And that I've seen is something. I started talking to a lot of my people in the building, like the workforce and the sanitation workers around. I say, and that itself made a lot of difference.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
second thing
not
is,
about what they can do, it's about what we can do. Because even one person supporting one person still goes a long way.
actually, secondly, I wanted to say as about ASHA workers, they are already overworked. And as
I
for
don't
their
deny.
training is not that much equipped to deal with the PPD actually itself.
Definitely. The
And
idea
there
is
is a,
not about equipping them to deal with the PPD. It's about building the language into the system, that if
yeah,
you are
yeah.
going through this, because you'll be surprised. I say this to a lot of the nurses I work with as well. You're already asking about the sleep. You're already asking about the pain. You're already asking about bowel movements. You're already asking about 8 questions that we ask in psychology as well. I'm not asking you to overwork, I'm asking you to observe. And my nurses are the smartest. They will see the eyes and they'll be like, ma'am, that person is crying, you need to talk.
With the help of other
Internally, this is a,
departments,
I'm not
with
going
the
to
help,
deny,
uh,
ma'am, but
yeah, with the
leveraging
help
and
of
piggybacking is very important.
actually some social workers, psychiatric social workers, psychiatric nurses, and all these people, they are a very good resource actually. Like
Agreed, agreed.
Anganwadis, and they are having, in general, they get through the such cases, and
Absolutely.
they can have the timely help to these ladies, because after the birth of child, if he is son, nobody is looking after for mother.
Agreed, agreed, totally agreed. And when
So
we went into rural Madhya Pradesh and we were doing a project on understanding how do we support people who are going through this, and especially mothers, I loved what one of the ladies said there. She's like, I'm going to do what works for me. I'm actually happy to do these mistakes. And then the Anganwadi worker said, she's my friend. I'm an Anganwadi worker, but that lady is my friend because I will show up for her. And she was like, I snuck out 2 packets of sattu, one for her daughter and one for her as well, so that they don't have to share.
that's why, because they are having
Empathy and
community
compassion
outreach,
is there in the system,
they are involved in
but
the locality, so they are more reliable to get
agreed,
such cases at
agreed,
earliest.
totally agreed. But again, we are
Thank
running
you.
against a system where there are millions of babies that are born and there are millions of women who
Yeah,
are
yeah,
giving birth. So we are
particularly.
trying our
Thank
level
you.
best, and that's that, because I think medical workers burnout is very, very real too. So it's a
Everything
gamble.
lies with the medical worker, ASHA worker. So
Absolutely.
we can have a chain of affiliation with each other, that will be more feasible rather.
Yeah, yeah. Why
Thank
not? Why not? I think that's the right way to go. And that's why I'm saying look locally where you can support rather
Yes,
than globally,
certainly.
because the global solutions will work. But show up at your local places. So there is a slum near my house where they are slightly under resourced. When we went and spoke to them about menstrual cups, those women lashed out at me. They asked me one question. They're like, we don't have water to drink, and you're asking me to spend 1 liter of water on washing a menstrual cup. I said, I'm sorry. I apologize. Instead, when we brought them period panties, they were happy to do that. So before we come up with generalized solutions, it's important to understand where the problem is actually originating from, because blanket statement, blanket solutions don't work.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining
I
us.
think we have one individual asking for a question.
Would you unmute Miss Sandeepa Paral? Kindly unmute yourself. Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. You're not audible. Kindly check your audio input device, or you can press the button beside audio button and select the microphone option over there and switch your microphone. Sorry. Meanwhile, I'll bring up the question from the chat box. There's a question from Ms. Radhika Gopales. Ma'am, I would like to know, as a health professional, what strategies can be adopted to identify and support mothers facing baby blues in a rural setting?
Right. I think what the setting does play a crucial role, but it might not be a major detector in how do you figure this out. Because again, a lot of the traditional aspects of you tie your belly and you go back to work. Let's say you are somebody who works in the fields. You're somebody who does crop rotation. You're somebody who is going for vegetable harvesting. You are going to have to show up, right? So instead of trying to support just the mother, I would say a lot of psychoeducation for the family is required, where you start working with the mother-in-laws and with the extended families. Like one of our speaker also spoke about how it's important to involve the family. How do you spot it? Basic for anybody. This is a blanket statement that I'm making, quite aware of that, but might help. Appetite, sleep, behaviorally, how they're looking on the external with their dressing, their mood, and pain levels. These 4 questions, when you ask, it will really, really help. And I am imploring all of you and requesting all of you, work on your language. Work on the kind of questions you are asking, how you are asking, what is your intentionality behind asking. Because a lot of times when we are asking the question, we are very insensitive. And sometimes I've asked just one question, and the person's ended up telling the entire life history and they've cried. So it's not about the quality of it's not about the quantity of questions you ask. It's about the quality of how you are asking, and using colloquial languages is a good way to bridge the gap. And another very interesting way that I have found to talk to people is choose movie examples, because a lot of them now have access to internet. You can always show a lot of videos and tell them, do you feel like this? Is this something that you've gone through? Would you be able to relate to something that you're seeing? Now, to everybody who's working in mental health, who's going through this, who are teachers in all your professions, learn the language that works, because that is the bridge that allows you to understand people's mental health effectively. Now, apart from therapy, what at a personal level can we do to recover from PPD? I will be very, very blatant about this. Your body and mind are not equipped, at least for the 3 months, to allow you to do this on your own. So before your last trimester hits, build a support system. Build a support system of even your house helps to people, whoever comes, build a support system so that you know whom to rely on. Now, on your own, what you can do, some of you have suggested some of the fabulous things on aspects of, writing, journaling, and listening to music, using aromatherapy, I don't know if many of you know this. When you are also feeling very low, instead of fancy candles and instead of all of that works. All of that works. Ever tried putting sambrani? Just putting sambrani in your entire house itself is a mood elevator. So small doable techniques that have always worked for you. Drawing, coloring, painting, taking a stroll, listening to metal songs and dancing for some time in the bathroom absolutely works. So do not abandon things that have worked for you before because you're a new mother. They will still work for you because you're still the same fabulous person. So now, keep a list of all of this on your notepad or on your phone nowadays, because you can send messages to yourself on WhatsApp. Write, hey, this has worked for me. This has not worked for me. These are the persons I can reach out to when I need help. Star mark these messages and fall back onto them when you are in states of distress. Oh,
Good. Can I read out the
nice.
next question, please?
Interesting questions. Yeah, I'm just looking at that. Now,
I'll just
this
read it out
is
for the other viewers as well.
yeah, please.
Right now. As a working mother and wanting to still have a purpose-driven life along with taking care of the child, I often get told that I have to step back to take care of the child for some period at least. While doing both is tiring, not doing anything outside of childcare also feels more depressing. How should a mother navigate through this?
Thank you so much for the question. And I see that this is coming from a lot of understanding and deep empathy. Thank you so much for thinking and feeling and asking the question. Now, one thing, I will always insist on this. Being prepared is better than not being prepared. The outcome of what will happen after you give the baby's birth is not in our hands. So you got to have this conversation with your partner way early, that I might want to step out for, do simple things. I might want to step out for a half an hour walk every day. At that point of time, I want you to show up for the baby. Or if your house help or somebody comes around to support you, provide them with the support to take care of the baby and take that 1 hour long shower where you just go sit on the commode and you're like, I do not want to function for 20 minutes. Please don't. Right? Now, drawing healthy boundaries, even with family, is very important. A lot of us, while growing up, are scared of rejection. We are not assertive. We do not know how to say no. So a lot of this frustration comes from there. And again, many of these boundaries have also been consistently breached by people. So we are scared to draw them. While the fear is real, with the help of a friend or a caretaker or anybody, you most definitely have to find other things, at least for the first 6 months, because that is a given time for your companies and all of them are also giving you that time. I would say start by some of the more simpler things on opening your laptop for 10 minutes and just sitting with the baby, where the child is also aware that, okay, there can be other things. Children are very smart, even if they're just 3 days into being born, they will grasp. Right? So sit with the baby for 10 minutes, sit with the baby, slowly keep increasing the timeline and keep, doing that. Now, taking time off for yourself is equally important. I would say trust your gut. There is no better way to say this, because your body knows what it wants. Stop suppressing your thoughts and feelings and your needs. I'm not talking about wants. Wants are very big. Needs are very basic. Start drawing boundaries to understand I need to do this for myself. I need to show up. You'll be surprised that when you start vocalizing without rebellion, but more coming from a point of making yourself understood, if people don't get it, it's on them. But you don't need to get triggered to ask for support. And if needed, you can always reach out and have a third person who's intervening, a friend, family member, or a close person who can navigate this conversation. Because if you're only going to be with the child, you're going to, again, have hostile feelings towards the baby. And that is not a place any mother wants to be. So smaller things, crocheting, painting, sitting in the sun, getting out for a cup of tea. We are not talking again about walking away, because again, you'll have motherly guilt of not showing up for the child. Step into your balcony. Put enough support for the baby. Step into your balcony for 15 minutes. Keep an eye on the child. And I'm a paranoid dog mother, so I have cameras in my house. My dog is free to roam around everywhere, but I, like a paranoid person, instead of asking him, where are you? I will look at the camera and I'm happy. Put a baby monitor, put a child in the crib that is long enough for the baby to not fall off, and then step out into the other room, do your yoga, take your time to relax. So, bigger things, no. Smaller things with scheduled 15-20 minutes for yourself will work. Baby's timings are unparalleled, so keep what work for you at a reachable distance. You can't have them really far that, oh, it's in the other room, I can't go get it. Something as simple as just having a squishy toy to play with at your reachable distance. You all carry such big bags for the baby, but you don't carry in that bag anything that pertains to you. Carry a protein bar, carry your favorite snack, carry your water that you want to drink. Small but simple things of showing up. Again, keep a note of this, write it somewhere. I don't know how many of you would love this, but please do this. Write letters to yourself that say, hey, you can be a fool and you will not take care of yourself. So please do these for yourself and list simple doable steps. A blanket statement, Epsom salt, even your rock salt that is there at home, putting it in a bucket of water and lukewarmish to slightly bearable hot water, putting your feet and your hands into it relaxes the body greatly. Even this break is a huge break for you from what you're doing. And now, going back to work, this is a personal choice.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think there's so many testimonials I'm having a tough time going through. There's so many testimonials I'm having a tough time going through, like finding the questions. Just give me a moment.
Yes.
I think
I think there's one statement that was made on if people related to PMS that can be prone to PPD. Now, that can be a trigger that can push somebody to having extreme depressive or suicidal thoughts or harmful thoughts. So that can be a trigger, but it doesn't necessarily push somebody to that. If they know ways to handle their PMS or premenstrual symptoms, it's fine. If they don't, ask them what will work and see if you can bridge the gap between the both of them. It is most definitely a trigger though. Now, I would like to just pause and say this, that a lot of people are going through PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. This is again PMS on steroids into two. There is irritability, there is lack of sleeplessness, there is body pains, there is extreme mood swings that are higher than the PMS. Now, these people are most definitely prone to postpartum depression. So you will have to keep an eye out for them. Thanks for the question on what can you give a new mother. Skincare zindabad. Any given day, take skincare, loose clothes, take some junk food for her, and a very nice soft cotton blanket and a pillow. These are comfort things that will really work. But I'll tell you something that's always easy. Ask her what she wants. She exactly knows what she wants. Ask her that, get her that. It could be as a friend of mine asked me for poppins. I don't know how many of you know what poppins is. I hunted for that poppins and I got her one big dabba. I said, bro, eat it as long as you want. Her husband just looked at me and then I was like, now you know why she loves me more than you. You wouldn't hurt for the poppins. I hunted for the poppins. That. Always ask. And it's not just for young mothers, for anybody. You could have lived with them for 30 years. Do not assume you know what a person wants. Ask. Solves the problem 90%. But yeah, skincare. Hello, please book massages for people. Foot massages, head massages. Go do massage. Good job. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a super interactive and very interesting session, and you made it a lot more interactive than our usual session. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
If you'd like to say anything to end the session to the viewers.
One thing I would love to say is, if you wouldn't say anything to yourself, do not say it to a mother who's going through this. If you think you deserve kindness and compassion, know that she deserves it 2x. So if you would not tell it to yourself that, yeah, it is normal, do not say it to her. Just take few moments to speak. And that's all. That's literally all. That's the end of it. Just take few moments to speak, because that one word that you say is life-changing. It can really make them seen, feel, and heard. So just breathe and don't try to be generalized. Look at the person while talking, and please hug people with their consent. It's so nice. Hug people. But first of all, you should get comfortable with yourself. So hug people with consent and always say, I am here. This is such an affirmative statement. This is something I love how all my girlfriends say that. They're like, bro, whatever happens, I'm here. I'm like, good job. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for saying that. So just keep affirming that whatever happens, I'm right here. And whatever you want, I'm right here. You don't need to even do. Just say. I hope that makes sensible sense.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Right.
With that, I'd like to call for the closure of today's session. Thank you to everyone who's been with us up until now. I'd like to share the link of today's session in the chat box. You can share it with anybody who will find it helpful, and also share it with as many people as you can. We'll upload the full recording post the session as well, and we'll share that link to your respective registered email IDs. And I hope to see you all next week again. With that, also, ma'am, you'll see a breakout room link on your screen shortly. Kindly join into it, and I'll be there with you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody, and thanks for having me. Thanks, Trishant, and thanks, Pratyusha.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a good weekend, folks. Please take care of yourselves.
Thanks to everyone for joining in. I hope to see you again next week. Kindly share the session with as many friends, family members you can.